What year did Eli Radish start?
He actually started in 1968. When Dan Sheridan placed a phone call to me and asked me if I wanted to start a country rock band, which was pretty unheard of back in the 60s. So
yeah, so then you guys, what did you just went around and did country and rock? I mean,
yeah, basically that's what we did. Plus we took an original route, try to write and play original songs. But I've always kind of had a country thing going with me. And I turned out to be a steel player, but even back then, I always just leaned that direction.
But I mean, in Eli Radish eventually put an album out with Capitol Records, and when you did, you were known as a band, a recording band. But before you became a recording band, did you play around locally and do like covers of country songs and rock songs?
Yeah. Basically, we did colleges and things of that sort. But we were only together less than a year before Capitol signed us.
So at some point, you decided. How did you get to being a local country rock band, which was pretty unique in the 60s to have a bunch of long-haired guys playing country music at the time, although we're used to anything now. But at the time, that was new.
It was.
How did you jump to then being the Eli Radish and being on Capitol Records?
Basically started the band, and Dan Sheridan, who used to live out in Novelty, lives out in California now. He sent a tape out to somebody that was pretty high up the totem pole at Capitol Records, Roger Karshner. And he heard the tape, and he knew Dan, and I think he sent a photograph. We had a photograph of us that kind of depicted the hair and everything, the way we looked, and it made it out there, and it was just a weird thing. And he wrote back, and they signed us. They flew us out to L.A., and it was just amazing. It happened quick.
Well, the thing that Eli Radish is known for is doing. Being hippies doing war songs, right, and
that's what it was.
And then you did sort of like these public domain war songs from the World War I and World War II. Was that your idea, or was that Capitol Records?
That was all Capitol Records. They had the idea.
They used you.
They did use us. They used us for one album, and then they abused us, and we got rid of it. Actually,
record companies never use anybody. Come on.
No, they flew us out there. They gave us spending money, put us up, and they had the sheet music for all these songs. It's a good thing we had a violin player that could actually read sheet music. Nobody else could. But they had the sheet music. They had the whole idea all mapped out. They were just looking for the look to fill it. So, and that was our role.
And was that a serious protest thing on their part, or was that a money-making thing, or what was the deal with that?
Yeah, I think it was pretty serious. I mean, they did a lot of promotion. I mean, that album was displayed in record stores all the way across the nation, and even today I'll stop and or not today, but in the last few years, I've stopped and checked through old records in Toronto, and I'd find a copy of the Eli Radish album and a cutout or whatever. And but no, I think they had an idea, and I think it made them money. It didn't cost them very much to have the studio or to sign us, and it sold over 50,000 copies. So I'm sure there's a profit there.
And you played different places regionally and stuff, opened for famous concerts.
Yeah, we were signed by Belkin Brothers after that, so we opened for Alice Cooper, The Doors.
Wow.
James Gang, a lot of different bands.
Why don't we hear some cuts from that? Now, these things are all like public domain songs, and this first one we're going to hear is Johnny Get Your Gun. When was that? When it was recorded in the 60s, but when is that originally?
I think it's a Civil War song, actually. So,
well, let's hear some of that.
Johnny, get your gun, get your gun, get your gun. Take it on a run, on a run, on a run. Hear them calling you and me, like true sons of liberty. Hurry right away, no delay, go today. Make your daddy glad to have had such a lad.
Hey, who was in Eli Radish?
Kenny Frack and Danny Sheridan and me and Skip Heil, and then Eva Kracek, or hard to pronounce last name. She played violin, so it was us five. It changed over the years.
This Capitol Records started messing with Eli Radish, as where these record companies are known to do. They started saying, "Well, you got to get rid of this person. You got to get rid of that person, right?
Yeah,
we got to have a
exactly
chick singer, Kenny Frack. We don't like him. So you went with it for a while, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of went some changes, and then what happened eventually?
They even made us get rid of our road manager.
Right, that was it.
Yeah, and that was finally it. We were at the Agora. We were opening up at the involved, and they were getting rid of this person, that person. Then finally, the guy who carried our equipment, who worked all night long for like no money for years. They finally said he wasn't good enough to go on the road with us. Bob Winters was his name, as a matter of fact. Yeah, and that was it that's the last straw.
But
for me.
Wasn't David Allen Coe in your band?
No, actually, we met him right after he got out of prison. He's from Akron, actually.
Right.
There's been a lot of strange stories, but we met him and we were his backup band.
Oh, okay.
But for me, it was like a life-changing thing because we used to play down in Nashville like 6 nights a week, once a month. So I went down there and I would get exposed to all the great players and the steel guitar players. Especially, I met a guy named Jimmy Day who just blew me away on steel. And I've been playing country ever since. And that was like a big influence and a big learning time for me. It only lasted about 6 months, but it was such an input of quality guitar playing and steel playing that it stayed with me the rest of my life, actually. So.
Yeah, and then eventually you moved to Austin for quite a few years.
Yeah, I moved to Austin in '78 to go to college. Ended up getting in bands down there. I stayed for 15 years, and I moved back in 1994.